Reason with me. In a normal, balanced community, amongst normal, balanced people, balanced adults, balanced human beings, those who live their day to day uninterested in other people's demise or wanting to see people fail, people who live their life and conduct their business from a space of integrity. You don't typically see people go out of their way to hurt and harm or create disruptions, distractions, and disturbances for other people just because they can, or they're in a position to do so, or they're leading with some type of envy or jealousy. You don't see people participating in any way with anything that will bring about any type of hardship for anyone else who doesn't deserve it or who hasn't done anything to them. With that being said, when you have people who recognize other people's gifts, skills, and talents, there was a time where the community at large would rally behind the star energy or the person in the community who had the opportunity to go further and take it further than anyone else had the ability to do so. There was a time where people was wise enough, compassionate enough, caring enough, empathetic enough, selfless, not selfish, but selfless enough to rally behind, be of good charity and good nature to those who had the ability to make it out of the neighborhood, make it out of the community, understanding and knowing that that would set a precedent for others to succeed and make it out, be able to come back home and do great things and great works and great wonders. When did it get to the point where the community at large sit around sulking and moaning and complaining, being envious and jealous of other people having the ability to exceed and excel beyond anyone else's wildest dreams and imagination? When did it get to the point where the rule of the day is everyone must be a crab in a barrel, a hating ass, envious, jealous, biased, racist devil? When did it get to the point where people can't rally behind those who have the potential to do something with their lives, with their careers in a major way? Not to brag or boast or, to go out of their way to belittle anyone, but to really make a difference, let alone, in the community or the world, but in, individual lives. Set a precedent, set an example where people can look up and say, hey, I knew that person, or I knew of that person, because not everybody who's in the same city or the same town personally knows an individual, just because people gossip and spread rumors and most of the time tell lies and mistruths, right? Because mistruths and lies, gossip spreads like wildfire, and most of the time it's not facts. You're just dealing with a bunch of hating ass clowns and flying monkeys who listen to gossip and made up stories that's coming from a whole group of miserable individuals, and then they take it upon themselves to spread the same lies and falsities. But in a balanced community, in a balanced world, most people rally behind and applaud other people's success and support other people's ability to excel beyond their wildest dreams and imagination. We've gotten to the point where people sit around hating on other people's dreams and aspirations. We've got to the point where people believe they are entitled to blocking, stopping, or owning other people's success and throwing a monkey wrench in their plans just because they see somebody that's actually being themselves and doing something with themselves. And the same individuals and groups and hating, miserable individuals at large, regardless of their titles and positions, choose or have chose not to do anything with their lives. In fact, they most likely given up hope a long time ago. They most likely have stopped dreaming a long time ago. They most likely ran out of steam and given up on setting any goals for themselves beyond grabbing the remote when they get off of work or going to the local club or bar. There's nothing wrong with going out to celebrate, to wind down, let your hair down, have a good time. But what I'm saying is, those who get locked into the same mundane routine and that have stopped dreaming, stopped, setting goals for themselves, shouldn't take it upon themselves to believe or think or feel that everyone should think and feel and act the same way that they chose to do. When did the whole community become a bunch of hating ass crabs in a barrel? A bunch of sellouts and clowns. One person is great at what they do by nature. Nothing forced, nothing false, nothing fake, nothing phony. And yet you have so many people with titles, degrees on paper, qualifications on paper, right? Positions that they weaseled their way in, or most likely in most towns, the buddy system is all about who you know. It's how you get your positions, not because you're qualified, not because you put in the work, not because you're great at or experienced at your particular field. It's about who you know. And you kind of get into a job that requires specific qualifications that aren't being matched. And so people spend a career and a life faking and falsifying who they are as a person and their character and qualifications. Meanwhile, someone out there naturally and or earn the right to be in that seat, that position, that title, and you all say, well, if that person get it, if that person is discovered, if that person is seen, then it threatens the fact that you're sitting in a seat that you didn't earn and that you don't belong in. And you hating ass flying monkeys and devils would much rather block somebody who's actually qualified, that can actually bring the community much further along where it needs to be. You would rather block and stop and prevent real progress, real innovation, real growth, just so you can selfishly remain in a position that you was never supposed to be in the first place, and that you're not even great at your particular task or title or job anyway. When do we get to the point where this is acceptable and tolerable? This has to stop. A whole community sold their soul. A whole community much rather rally behind being blockers and cock blockers and haters, right? Nuisance and agitators, bearing false witness, creating demise, opposed to rallying behind success and applauding success and being of encouragement to those who are really making a difference and striving to make a difference. You would rather send weirdo stalkers and teach our young men to act like deranged, delusional, crazy female that hide behind trees and bushes, attempting to create disturbances and distractions. And yes, there are deranged, delusional men who stalk women. But you don't usually see men stalk other men or males stalk other men unless, as we're beginning to understand, there's twisted feminine energy with that particular male, or we're learning that there are communities of secret down low individuals with twisted feminine energy that participate as males with the mindset that it's okay to do things that's of a deranged feminine or female nature. Because real men, and all throughout my growing up, I've been around real men, real gangsters, real gentlemen, real men who support, honor, and respect their families and their communities. And not once in the history of manhood did Pop or Big Pop or Granddad or uncles or, cousins or whomever, friends, father who was real men and represented manhood, ever say, Big Mama, I'm gonna go, after I smoke this pipe, I'm gonna go stalk another man. I'm gonna go pocket watch another man. I'm gonna go follow another man around a grocery store to see how much he's spending. Never in the history of real men or manhood has real men took it upon themselves to be weirdos hiding behind trees and bushes. Now, unless you are some type of law enforcement detective or federal agent, and that's your job and that's your qualification, and you're working a major case and you're on a stakeout and that's how you make your living, right? That's different than the whole community being recruited and, being rallied to behave like deranged, delusional women or females. The ones that jump behind the bush and key up your car and scratch your car and bust your tires or bust your windshield and, poke your tires. This is how males are being recruited and programmed to behave and act in today's society. Like deranged females, pocket watchers and cock blockers, weirdo stalkers. And everybody is sitting back acting as if this is normal. No, it's not. This is abnormal behavior. To teach our young men to be stalkers, to hide behind people's shoulders, standing over their shoulder, listening and watching, programmed like robots, and then when they turn around, that's when they start moving. To be haters and steal other people's content and record other people's screens. And when did y'all believe or think that this was normal behavior? This is all abnormal. When did supposedly logical reasoning feminine, supposed to know better feminine, support this behavior coming from males? When did the community at large lose their wisdom, their balance? When did it go from the wise Big Mama, the wise grandmother, to a community of women who don't support balance, don't support the advancement and the furthering of the community and the family unit? When did it become normal for everyone to be dysfunctional, imbalanced, impractical, immoral, lack principle? Everyone is just diving off the cliff of mental instability. And that makes it no better, because now you have so many corrupt medical professionals that the bar ain't even set right, because they too participate in criminal activity and misdiagnosis and anything for $1. We're moving away from morality and principle to mob mentality, covens, cults, gang mentality, insofar as, clicking up to stalk and harass and be bullies and clowns in the community. In the very institutions and fraternities and organizations with the very people who hold titles such as Reverend, Pastor, Imam, Sheikh, Rabbi, community leader, community organizer, are some of the very ones that's participating. I'll throw in Worshipful Master too, Senior Warden, junior warden, deacon, etc. Everyone is participating in the madness. This has to stop. There was a time where if you recognize young Tyrell or young Tyrone or young Melvin had the ability to dribble a ball and shoot the ball from half court and finger roll the ball or put the ball behind his head and bring it around and lay it up in the hoop and jump kind of higher than everybody else, you rally behind Melvin or Tyrone or Tyrell or Mike or Will or whoever it was. There was even a time where the dudes on the block would say, don't mess with that one, not that one. When that one walked by, leave him alone, let him pass. But now it's the mentality of everyone wanting to block and stop and hate and prevent Mike, Will, Tyrell, Tyrone from exceeding and excelling and reaching his highest potential. There was a time where even the dudes on the block would provide protection for the one that they saw had the potential to make it out of the community, make it out of the neighborhood, to make a name for themselves, to make something of themselves. But now, the whole community turned into a bunch of clowns, weak-minded fools and sellouts, bullies, stalkers, harassers, pocket watchers, weirdos. When did this become acceptable and normal? When did you all lose your damn mind? And when do you plan on getting it back by no longer hating and getting out the damn way?